All right, this is just the short version of a talk that I gave at the Lean Agile Scrum conference in Zurich. So I trimmed it down to 15 minutes. And it's really targeted at software companies, software developers, teams. And I normally start with a question, and the question is, do you delight your customers or do you deliver rotten eggs? And how long does it take you to actually know if you deliver rotten eggs or not? So let's set the stage. We all know about Scrum, and you guys probably know more about it, and we've seen already these couple of similar pictures today, so I skip over this slide. And I tell you a little bit about the pain that I have with Scrum, or that I see with Scrum, with my teams. The first one is the product owner. He should really be a customer representative, but most of the times what I see is the product owner is someone chosen in the company, and he's a guy in a suit, and he's playing golf on a golf course. But how should he know about my end users? How should he know what my end users, the problem that my end user have? So that's the first problem that I have with Scrum. And the second problem that I have is this, the tightness of the release cadence with the sprint cadence. So that means if we are running 4-week sprints, it takes us at least 4 weeks until we get the next release out. So this is a common thing that I see in the Scrum teams as well. Then I have another couple of problems or pain points, and that's with releases or deployments. And let's quickly look at those as well. Now, who comes across these problems? Only Joe knows how to deploy. Okay, almost everyone has seen this. This is very common. So if Joe is on holidays, we can't do a deployment. Who sees something like that? On the build server somewhere, deployment instructions. 1, 2, yeah, a couple of you guys. Basically, this is a manual deployment document where there's certain steps on how to deploy to production or staging or whatever. Who has come across this? So this is an email going out and tells me basically, hey guys, everyone gets off the system, we need to deploy a new version. Takes a couple of days, the system is down, no one can use it, and it's just pain. So we've seen deployments are normally very hard, and even Batman and Spider-Man have their problems. And the other thing that I see very often is stress on the deployment day. So the team needs to get in on Saturday, because on Saturday no one is there. They buy Coke and pizza and whatever, and they get stressed out on that day, because on Monday the new system should be up and running, and that freaks them out. And the biggest problem that I see is with the release date of 2015, that if the feature is visible after 2 years and the people actually don't want it, or they actually say, hey, this is not really what we're after, then that is very expensive. So that is a huge problem. And in the end, manual deployments and deployments in general, they are not fun. So what can we do about it? Continuous delivery, that's a practice described in the book from Jess Humble and Dave Farley, I think it is. And basically it's this idea of being always production ready. So you keep your software always in this stage where it is always potentially releasable to production. Part of this concept is these no-effort automated deployments. So you have your version control system, and you can pick certain versions out of that and move them into the different environments, like test environment, QA environment, production environment. And there is this automation in place. And what we would really like to do is one-click deployments. So get the version and push it to production or staging or wherever. So this is this concept of continuous delivery. A good technique to reach that is a deployment pipeline. That's just one example on how to do it. This is in German, so I don't want to dig into that too much, but the key here, takeaway, is that you still have manual testing in there. So you still, if you need a manual quality gate there, you can have it. It depends on you and how you want to set up that thing. So why should we do continuous delivery? Let's have a quick look on that. My thing about continuous delivery is to test the whole before we're going live. Because basically we can deploy to another environment which is similar to production before we're actually going to the real production hardware. So we can test the whole thing before we go live. It is faster. Once we have set up this whole automation, we can deploy with one click. So instead of being down for a couple of hours or days, we can basically say, deploy the latest version. Once you do a restart of your browser or whatever, you have the latest version on your client, which is awesome. It's less risky because we have done it before. So once we have done it before, we know already, okay, once we go live, it's not a problem because we have done it before, easy. And once we are at this stage, it is actually quite easy to do the deployments, which is the key of continuous delivery. And if you are not at that stage yet, where you have this continuous delivery set up, you can actually say, okay, we look at the current state where we are and inspect and adapt from there. So we take the biggest pain point of our current deployment and try to automate that. And that's the key thing that I want to give you with this inspect and adapt here. And it's cheaper to build something in 2 weeks instead of 2 years if no one really wants that. And that's the takeaway. So how do we do this continuous delivery stuff? Now this is very interesting, and that is the part where it gets very geeky. And because of the time box, I can't really dig into this. And so I give you only 2 points here. And the first one is that everyone needs to work together. So you get this new movement that is popping up called DevOps, and basically where the developers are responsible for the software in production. And that's something you want to achieve. And the second one is automation. So these are 2 key ingredients if you want to go down this route. So how does Scrum and continuous delivery fit together? The first thing that you should do is deploy to test, and that's fairly easy. I think everyone can do that now, and I see a lot of companies doing that. And the next one is actually deploy to production. Who has seen this somewhere in a team, in a software team? Deploy to production? Okay, 4 of you. Cool. I think it changes the whole sprint lifecycle quite a bit, because in the stand-up you can actually discuss, hey, let's look at this product backlog item. Is this ready to deploy? If it's ready to deploy, we move it to production and think about that. Retrospective, obviously everyone needs to get together, so that means the whole team, but that's not a big change there. And in the review, that changes quite a bit as well, because you look actually in production. You're not going to a demo server or a certain staging environment or wherever, but you go into production and you look at the production environment. And that's a big change here as well. And you can discuss the release then later on. So what comes with this Scrum and continuous delivery is really that you're moving single product backlog items from the idea, from the coding to production. And you're trying to get that done as quick as possible. This is called swarming in XP. Clarification, I have a couple of interesting bits here, what I think at least are very interesting. And there is this difference between deployed and released. And deployed is really something that I think that that is something the team should care about. So this is a technical thing, only the team cares about that. And releasing is something that the business cares about. How can we achieve that? So one technique to do that is feature toggling. Basically there is somewhere in the configuration in the database, somewhere there is a flag and turns certain things off and on. And the business has the ability to turn these things off and on. That's just one technique to do that. Flickr is very popular in doing this. So if you go to code.flickr.com, you can see the latest deployments for yesterday and I think the last week, which is pretty cool. Then normally I get this question during this talk, and it works only for the web. And I have a couple of examples here, but because I'm running out of time box, I have to skip those. And the release is dependent from event, location, license, manual tests, and you know it already. Yep.
You even have an example from an Oracle designer environment, so you can also do it in a legacy environment like Oracle.
Oh, I would love to have that.
Okay,
I have to talk to you.
Doing the whole IBAN, the SEPA, the international banking number. And
cool.
It's going to do 2 years or 3 years, and you have to put things live, but you can't do it really release it, so you have to deploy but don't release it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm interested in that. I just continue and then we talk later about that.
Thank you.
What happens if we do this? Agile is all about these short feedback cycles, and what we really get then is another feedback cycle, and that's the release cycle. So we push features to our clients, to our end users, and we get feedback from our end users quicker. And that's all about, I think that's one of the important things about Agile. We get increased collaboration because everyone needs really to work together. Operation people, developers, PO and the end user as well. We're bringing them closer to us because we're getting feedback from them. And in the end, we're getting innovation as well because we can test ideas in the market. And that's really what I think is innovation about. And I have another 2 examples here, and I've skipped over those as well because I'm running out of time. And I'll show you maybe them later on if you're really keen on knowing them. So Eric Ries has this book called Lean Startup. Who has read it? A couple of you guys. And definitely put that on your reading list because it's awesome. I really like it. And he calls this idea validated learning. So you're trying to push something. I think I have, yep. So you're trying to push something to your users as quick as possible. He calls this a minimum viable product, and get feedback from that. And with that feedback, you learn, you measure, you tweak your ideas, and then you go through this loop as quick as possible. And that's the whole idea of this lean startup. And that's how he tries to be innovative, or we try to be innovative. So I would say innovation isn't magic. You can really drive that. Get a lot of the ideas, push them as quick as possible to your end users, and then collect those that really work and tweak them. So is there actually a need for innovation? I think there's definitely a need for innovation. If you look at Apple, one of the most successful companies these days, this chart is actually quite mind-blowing because if you make up the numbers, you will see that 75% of Apple's revenue comes from product that they didn't have 5 years ago. So if I saw this chart, I was thinking, wow, that is amazing. 5 years ago, all these products, they didn't even exist. So I would call Apple a really innovative company. So there is really a need for being innovative. And this is a huge buzzword at the moment. And every company is talking about that anyway. So imagine, I want to look a bit in the future, what we could do. So this is a dashboard for a business, what we could build for a business. And it's really separated into 3 parts. And the upper part is about the current state of your software environment or your business. How is your business doing? And what a business owner really wants to know is the dollars. So how many orders per minute are we shipping? How many orders per minute are we getting? How many dollars per day are we making? How many dollars did we make last week? This could be as well showing CPU. Hey, what's the CPU on a database? This could be technical and business side of things. It depends on really who is looking at this dashboard. But the first part at the top is really, hey, what's going on in my company? The second part is what's available to me? What does the developers give me? And here we just see 3 examples. And I have here this button, just a symbolic here. And we can say, hey, I want to push this feature now. Sorry, I want to release this feature. And let's see what happens with the numbers above if I do this. So I really want to, this notion of A/B testing that comes with this. And there's a third part where I can see what is in development at the moment. What are my guys doing? What are they working on? And I see there are a couple of tests failing, so these features are not ready yet. So imagine if you would have such a dashboard for your business. Wouldn't that be amazing? I think that would be amazing.
It's a new portfolio management.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So with this dashboard, you could really deliver faster. You could get feedback from your customers quicker. You could test ideas in the market, see what happens if you turn this feature on and off. You could learn faster, which is a goal of being innovative. And you could really be innovative. That would lead to building the right thing. That would mean you get happy users, which is our goal, I hope. Which would lead us to happy business and happy people. And that's what we want. Thank you very much.